Thank you for taking the time to join us today. The goal of this presentation is to demystify the admissions process and save you time when applying to the MBA for Working Professionals program. This presentation is part of a series on the MBA for Working Professionals program, also called the MBA-WP. We've split each presentation up based on topic to allow you to find the information you want more quickly. Application tips. In theory, ASB has the same admissions criteria for the MBA for Working Professionals and the MBA for Full-Time Residency programs, and included in this slide is the criteria. However, in the MBA for Working Professionals program, we do look at your work experience more closely. The admissions process is very straightforward, though there will be periods of time when you don't hear from us and wonder what's happening with your application. In step 1, you complete your application and submit. Please plan to take some time in this step as you may want to think through your essay carefully before submitting. It might take some time for your recommenders to complete the recommendations letters. We use a GMAC standard recommendation form, which allows you to use the same letter for different programs. If you have a choice between a perfect application and an almost perfect application, it's better to apply earlier as there is less competition for more seats. Also, very important when you're completing your application, please use your work email. For step 2, evaluation of the application. Once you submit your application, our admissions team will review your file to ensure that all the documents needed for proper evaluation are included in the application. If you have forgotten something, this is when the admissions team will reach out to you. Once this part is complete, your file is assigned to a member of the admissions committee to read. After your file is read, as long as we believe you are academically strong enough to complete the program, you are then invited to be interviewed. In our MBA for Working Professionals program, we try to interview as many applicants as we can because we realize that you are more than just a document submitted and realize that you may shine more in person than on paper. In addition, we use the interview to assess your English fluency. After all the interviews are complete, our admissions committee meets to decide on all the candidates who have applied for this particular round. The admissions committee is comprised of around 10 of our senior staff and faculty. After all decisions are made, we will reach out to you and communicate your decision. Please note, in a separate presentation on return on investment and funding, we share with you how to apply for one of our 2 MBA Working Professionals 40% fellowships, as well as how to apply for ASB financial aid. When you complete your application, you will need to upload the following: a cover letter, your current resume. This should be no more than 2 pages in length and should list your work experience in reverse chronological order. Transcripts and degree certificates. It's okay to use unofficial transcripts and copies of your degree certificates at this time. If your application is successful, we will ask you to submit the official copies, which is required for MQA. Test scores, if applicable, and we will discuss test scores in a few slides, your essay, your video submission, and 2 letters of recommendation. For everyone, I would recommend reading an interview with our Executive Director, Emily Priest. This might help you as you think through writing out your application. And one piece of advice, please read and follow the directions in the application. This is actually an important element that is evaluated, and our faculty are often the first to point out when a candidate does not follow directions in their application. MBA for Working Professionals cover letter and essay. This is one key area where the admissions committee gets to know you better. As you start to write these, please be authentic as we want to get to know you throughout both documents. A word of advice: I've seen applicants submit essays that are only 200 words in length. I strongly recommend you use most of your 500 words when sharing your story. While I realize some candidates are more introvert than others, a very short cover letter and essay are not as effective at conveying your story and sharing who you really are. And finally, an insider tip: we do not count every word of your essay. We do, however, read enough essays that we intuitively know when we were around 500 words. If your essay is 512 words, don't sweat it by trying to reduce the 12 words. It's fine. Anything more than 520 jumps immediately though, and we start looking whether or not you followed the directions for length of essay. The video. This usually is one area in the application that causes the candidates the most stress. We don't want this to be the case. We know that not everyone has worked with video before, and we also know that not everyone has the same time as everyone else to craft their videos. Please do not pay anyone to help you complete your video. We care what you say. We care that you have taken the time to think through the 2-minute introduction to ASB. Video production is a bonus. If you happen to be good at it and wish to submit your video for an Academy Award, we would thoroughly enjoy seeing your creativity. If you have never crafted a video before, please do not be intimidated. You are invited to use a tripod or lean your camera against a stack of books so that it's stable and doesn't shake. This is perfectly acceptable. Your sitting or standing on one location is also perfectly acceptable. One favor, do check that we can see and hear you speaking, and also double check that there's not a loud or distracting noise in the background that would make it difficult for us to hear what you're saying. Most important of all, please have fun with this and don't let it cause you stress. Neither program, the MBA for full-time residency or the MBA for working professionals program, requires a GMAT or GRE. For our MBA for full-time residency program, we say that while not required, the GMAT, GRE can be useful when we evaluate an application, particularly if they are not from a strong quantitative background or evidence of a quant comfort is not evident throughout their application. If people plan to apply without a test score, in order to remain competitive, they should be able to provide evidence of quant comfort either in their educational background and/or work experience. For our MBA for Working Professionals program, let's just say there is a very strong and direct correlation that has been found between age and GMAT scores, and it does not go in the direction of those of us with several years' work experience would hope. If you have taken the GMAT or GRE, please share with us your scores, as it will be an extra bonus to help us when evaluating your application for quantitative capability. If you have not taken either of these exams, it usually takes about 4 months to thoroughly prepare, and it costs a lot of money between prep courses and the exam itself. After all this work and after all this cost, it effectively tells us how amazing or unamazing you are at taking a test. We do not want you to go through this stress or cost. Instead, on the next slide, we will share with you some advice for preparing for the quantitative part of the program. The one thing that the GMAT, GRE, and executive assessment are effective at is forcing you to review your quantitative skills. Many of the quantitative skills you need in the MBA for Working Professionals program may be skills you have not seen since undergraduate studies. Because this program is designed in collaboration with MIT, and half of our professors who teach in the program are from MIT, there is a very high expectation that every student is comfortable in quant. It is also a skill that will be used continuously throughout the program. So instead of preparing for the GMAT or GRE, please take the time that you would have spent preparing for the test and instead prep for the quantitative requirements of this program. Above is a sample test you can take, along with a sample answer key. Unless you are an engineer that is actively working in engineering, chances are high you will need to review algebra, calculus, probability, and statistics. The quickest way to come up to speed is to buy a GMAT math prep book and work your way through it. Once you are able to comfortably complete the GMAT math review problems, you should be ready for the quant that you will see in the program. We recommend either the Kaplan Math Review or the Manhattan GMAT series. The only book we do not recommend is a Princeton Review, as a Princeton Review is more targeted at teaching you how to take an exam rather than truly understand the mathematics. The advice of letters of recommendation is the same, regardless of whether you're applying for the MBA for Working Professionals program or the MBA for Full-Time Residency program. The purpose of the letters of recommendation is so we can get to know you better through the people who work with you. They can speak to your strengths and opportunities for development. And don't worry, we are not seeking a perfect person. If you are perfect already, then you probably cannot learn much from the MBA. Just remember that it's far better to select a recommender that knows you well rather than someone with a prestigious title who doesn't know you as well. Finally, we come to the English proficiency section of the application. We will be reading your application for proof of English proficiency, as well as interviewing you to assess this. If we have any questions, we will ask you to complete one of the many English proficiency exams. However, if you are international and did not receive your undergraduate education in English, you will be required to submit exam scores. You do not have to complete these at the time of your application, as we will still assess your application without the scores. Once you submit your application, please take the time to register and complete the proficiency exam so that if admitted, it's easier for us to help you process your Malaysian student pass. Want to learn more? Please take a few minutes and join us for our additional presentations regarding the MBA for Working Professionals program. We certainly do not expect this presentation to answer all of your questions, and we are here to help you. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us and we'll try to respond as soon as we can. We know the application is never fun, but we do hope it can be a pleasant experience for you, as well as a chance for you to get to know both ASB and the MBA for Working Professionals better. Thank you very much for your time, and we hope we have the privilege to speak with you soon. Thank you.